So a number of you said that you wanted to add poultry to your operation, or maybe you already have added poultry. And I have, over the last couple of years of teaching the Cultivating Success course, I've had a number of students that have taken on a new enterprise of chickens. And even though they went through the course and developed a business plan that included some aspects of the chickens, it seems that they really didn't take the time to do a clear analysis of you think about chickens, you've got to consider the cost of feed and straw for bedding and egg laying boxes and housing and fencing and the cost of baby chicks and shipping and costs if you're having the chicks mailed, and if you're getting baby chicks, you got to think about a place where you can brood them and have the lights and the heat. And then I suppose before you order the chicks, you need to be thinking about if you're going to do them for meat or eggs. We had some neighbors last year that had been buying meat birds and eggs from us for a while and decided that they were going to take on the new enterprise of meat birds. And while I encouraged them to call and make arrangements with a local woman who has a processing area for poultry, the day they got the chicks, they did not do that. So when it came time for those 150 birds to be butchered, they just decided that they'd do it themselves and had never butchered before. And well, all I can say is they are now vegetarians. And if they would have really thought that through, it probably would have ended up, well, maybe they'd still be eating chicken, I don't know. But you really need to think about those kind of things. And with eggs, the same thing. Cost and market analysis are everything. And it's easy in the summertime to sell eggs at the farmer's market, but what are you going to do in the winter when your chickens are still laying dozens of eggs? You really need to think about that market assessment closely with egg production. And for us, we keep a rotation of about 50 laying hens, and we rotate the chickens about every 2.5 years. So that's another thing you need to think about. How long are you going to keep those chickens, and when it's time to do a rotation with your old chickens, how are you going to deal with those? Are you going to well, that's, depending on how many you have. I mean, when we first started out, we were butchering them and canning the meat, and there's only so much old chicken you can turn into stew meat. But now we put an ad in the Nicholsworth or local paper and sell our 2.5-year-old hens for $5, and we'll run one ad and get rid of most of them. If that doesn't work, then we'll give the rest away. But you really need to think through all aspects of having chickens before you take that, and that's a part of the enterprise assessment concept, and thinking about evaluating your enterprise. So with this, Emily is a former apprentice of ours, and bean harvest time, and a couple of the students that are on this webinar are former apprentices too, so hello you guys. And they were on the farm helping us pick beans and know how much time it takes to pick beans. And I bring this up because beans are one thing. Over the years, I see so many people come to the farmer's market and they see that we sell a lot of beans, and they go, oh, well, we'll grow a lot of beans too, not really thinking about how much time it takes to harvest, say, a 100-foot row. Well, I know how much time it takes to harvest a 100-foot row, and I know that when the beans are on, I have to harvest every 3 days to keep them tender, sweet, and the size that the restaurants like, and the size that are the best that we have to offer from our gardens. I know that because I've tracked the time and done the assessment, that I will never grow any more than 300 feet of beans unless I'm willing to pay someone to come in and harvest them for me. So when I do the cost analysis there, it's really not going to be making me a profit if I'm paying someone to harvest my beans, although I would just soon do that, but it's not really sustainable or profitable if I do that. So A fine example, and I like to give examples of what not to do. Another fellow at the farmer's market came up to me and um, looked and made the observation that we sold a lot of beans, and he decided that he wanted to put beans. Well, he put in a whole acre of beans for his first time, and he's selling these as filet beans. Well, not thinking about how he would harvest them. What do you think happened when the first day came for the first harvest? He wasn't able to keep up, and he never was able to keep up. And all that time and money and fertilizer and bean seed that he put into creating that crop ended up turning into a green manure crop. So all was not lost. It still fertilized his soil, but you really need to think it through before you jump into a new enterprise. And one good way to add to your list of considerations is to talk to other growers about their experience. And sometimes they will talk to you and sometimes not. You just have to ask around and see. I mean, some growers are more than willing to share what they know, and others are not willing to share their hard-earned experience, so you just have to work with that. So the strawberries, this is another thing that another crop that I have seen so many different people, because berries grow very well here. Berries of all kinds, strawberries, blueberries. We have a number of new farms coming in the Sandpoint area that are doing blueberries after hearing Stan Ehrman from Riley Creek Blueberry Farm come into my classes. I'd say we probably have 5 or 6 people that are putting in large blueberry farms. And well, I guess large size is relative. They're putting in 3 to 5 acres, and when I look at what it takes me to pick the blueberries I have, I know what's involved in that, and that's why we don't have a bigger patch. But the same with strawberries. I had a student last year who decided that she wanted to put in a strawberry patch, and she kind of did a light business plan associated with growing strawberries and marketing strawberries. However, she didn't even know that you had to get down on your hands and knees to pick strawberries. So as we started having conversations about, I don't know, I guess she thought they grew like blueberries do, which would be really nice. However, they don't. So in considering something like berries or whatever you're choosing, you really need to do your homework. For us, we have I think we have about 200 square feet of an assortment of strawberries, and just like with the beans, I have determined that that is as much as I can physically handle as far as keeping them harvested when they're at the perfect ripeness, which is when we like to pick our strawberries. It's the perfect size that I've figured out how I can put a hoops over the entire bed and cover them with bird netting to keep the robins and slugs away, because robins, we've had hundreds of robins come in and one fell swoop and wipe out the entire crop. So we have to, the pest management for our berries is really a part of that. And thinking about marketing the berries, farm fresh, ripe berries off the vine, there's never been a problem with marketing them. But if we're picking several times during the week and not going to take them to market until a Saturday, say, we have to have cold storage for that, and that's something that you also need to be thinking about when you're doing your assessment. So really think about the time investment, think about the cost of the containers, and are you willing to get down on your hands and knees, and are you going to hire people to do that? So we're always doing that type of assessment